Hello everyone, this is In-Game Arts with another boxing and a breakdown of the demo. This is Darkest Dungeon, the Ancestral edition for the PlayStation 4. Now before we go into it, like I normally do, I need to make a claimer at the beginning of the video here. I was never able to start Darkest Dungeon Ancestral edition as the base version of the game. Every time I started it, the game would always crash at the startup. I tried to do everything I can. I uninstalled, reinstalled, connected the internet, disconnected the internet, restarted my PS4 and so forth. I tried to do everything I can to get the game to go on the base vanilla version, and nothing would work. It would always crash at the startup. It was until I downloaded a good size update when the game finally started. So as a claimer, I need to say that everything you see in terms of gameplay and content that you see, I was only able to access after I've updated the game. I will put an updated counter at the top right of the corner to let you know everything you're seeing at that point has all been updated. Now this update is 1.5 gigabytes big and will take you to version 1.02 since the making of this video. Now it's a slew of updates, fixes and bug fixes and so forth, and allowed me to start up the game. As well as this Ancestral edition comes with 4 DLC items on disc. Now there are other DLCs, so this Ancestral edition does not come with all DLC. But as you noticed that in the beginning of the video, I couldn't show you DLC or update history and so forth in terms of what's on disc. Sometimes, I've talked about this before, publishers and developers, when they release a physical copy like this, they'll just call it the base version 1.00 and not allow you to view the DLC. I have no control over that, whether the developer would do that or whatever case that is. But I can at least tell you what those 4 DLC items are. The 4 DLC items are on disc is Crimson Court, Districts, Vigilance, and Shieldbreaker. Now, please keep in mind, there is another physical release available out there, and it's called Darkest Dungeon Collector's Edition, which I do have that as well. And I will be covering that physical version very shortly after this video. So, if you would like to see that video, then I will provide links in the description. Now, on to the game. Now, Darkest Dungeon is a typical kind of hardcore but turn-based-esque exploration kind of style game. It's kind of like world building and mechanics and so forth. Story-wise, your grandfather or father owned a mansion, and he lived luxuriously and got bored of his luxurious life. And in an attempt to, I guess, get more thrill out of life, he noticed that his mansion has a secret connection to some ancient lands, and as his exploration, he comes across it, and an ancient evil comes out, corruption and so forth, and madness breaks out through your family's homeland. Well, in the process, he dies from that, and you're coming back to reclaim your land. Now, that's just a straight summary of the game. It's more just about the gameplay, mechanics, and so forth. It is a very challenging game, so please keep that in mind. There's a lot of permanent death in the game, so if you lose some of your soldiers, much like XCOM, they're going to die permanently. As well as that the game, as I said, challenging, so there's going to be a lot of those times where you're going to get very frustrated when you miss a hit and so forth. Now, what changes the game is that it has a stress meter in the game. And that stress meter builds up over time, and every character has different things that they get stressed out over. And eventually that madness will take over them. So what you gotta do is that you gotta fluctuate between your soldiers and let them relax, and then you gotta switch out and bring in other ones that are not so stressed out, and so on and so forth. As you progress, you get more money and so forth, and you can build up your land and stores and so forth, so you can do more, help more of your stress soldiers, improving their equipment and so forth. It's a straightforward RPG mechanic-esque game, but what makes it really stand out is this narration it has for everything it does in the game. It's very well done, but I do like that you can go to the options and turn the narrator voice all the way down, just in case if he's annoying you in some ways. Now, as you progress, of course, your characters will level up, but they have a perk system kind of in the game, or a penalty system sometimes too, where characters will have quirks, if you will. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, and it will affect their experience, how they perform. So you got to be able to make sure you know who you're bringing along for what skirmish and so forth. It's a very challenging and very rewarding game, but can be very stressful in certain situations. But overall, it's still an extremely fun game. graphically, the game is actually really good looking with its hand-drawn art style and so forth. It's definitely a neat and amazing game to get on your shelf, but sadly, as I talked about the Ancestral Edition, it's a very kind of bust. It's, I mean, particularly me, I was never able to launch the game, and as well as that there is a better version available called the Collector's Edition. Now, again, if you can't get the Collector's Edition and you don't mind updating the game, then maybe you can get the Ancestral Edition. But for the most part, I don't really recommend it just because, then, again, you can never get it to start from the beginning. You have to download this humongous update, as well as it does not come with all the DLC. It's a good game, and I'll probably go into more details talking about the game and the Collector's Edition. I just want to make sure it's clear that the difference between Ancestral Edition and the Collector's Edition, and why you should get more the Collector's Edition than this version. But, again, sometimes people can't help the copies they get, or maybe if you're a complete collector and you like to have both versions, so now you can know the differences between them. And that's why I will cover both of them very shortly here within this time span. So, like always, I'll try to leave links down in the description if you're interested in this particular copy. But again, as I said, I will be making a video and providing links to the Collector's Edition, which is the version I will recommend the most to get. So, thank you all for watching, and see you guys on the next unboxing video. Bye-bye!
Ruin has come to our family. You remember our venerable house? Opulent and imperial, gazing proudly from its stoic perch above the moor. I lived all my years in that ancient, rumor-shadowed manor, fattened by decadence and luxury. And yet I began to tire of conventional extravagance. Singular, unsettling tales suggested the mansion itself was a gateway to some fabulous and unnameable power. With relic and ritual, I bent every effort towards the excavation and recovery of those long-buried secrets, exhausting what remained of our family fortune on swarthy workmen and sturdy shovels. At last, in the salt-soaked crags beneath the lowest foundations, we unearthed that damnable portal of antediluvian evil.